Hi again. So, sign languages are very complex and can be very diverse. In fact, there are more sign languages in the world than there are spoken languages. So the sign language in Australia is Auslan, but within Auslan there exists different dialects between the northern states and the southern states. So for example, in the southern states, the sign for girl is this, but in the northern states, the sign for girl is this. This variation between different sign languages, and even between the dialects, is because sign language was not invented. It was developed much the same way that spoken languages were. So a good example of this in recent times is the Nicaraguan Sign Language. So in that, there was deaf school children who were at hearing schools, and they didn't have any way of communicating with each other. So initially, they communicated through gestures, but eventually this stabilized into a fully formed language with grammar and its own words. So all languages are defined by a group of parameters, and Auslan is no different. In Auslan, there are 5 parameters. The first one is hand shape, and that's the shape that the hands use during a sign. So for example, the sign for interview uses this hand shape, like this. But the sign for communicate uses this hand shape, but uses a similar motion. So a different hand shape gives the whole thing a different context. The second parameter is orientation. So that's the direction that the hands are facing. So a good example for this one is service, which is hands facing up. And compare that to busy, which is hands facing down. Similar signs, but the orientation of the hands, again, gives a different meaning. The third parameter is location. So that's where on the body the sign takes place. So for this one, this means Christian, and this means beautiful. Exactly the same sign, different location. The fourth parameter is the movement of the hands, so where they go. So for example, this is the sign for shop, but the sign for buy goes like this. So again, identical up until the final movement, and that's what gives them the different meanings. The fifth parameter is not strictly a part of the Auslan language, but it still is very important for giving context and meaning. And that is non-manual features. So that's facial expressions and body language as well. So this one is, a good example of this is the sign for sad, but when you do it, you need to look sad as well. So you need to look dejected. Or if you're signing for happy, you need to look happy. Otherwise, it can be confusing as to what you're trying to mean when you sign those words. Okay, thank you. Bye.